Hello, everyone, and welcome to an incredible game. From round 6 of this year's US Chess Championship, we have a clash of leaders, Fabiano Caruana versus Wesley. Both of them leading the tournament. The other big pair, Levon Arinan versus Hans Niemann, ended in a draw. So here, both Fabi and Wesley have a chance to take a lead in the tournament. Now, not being grand only for that, they are both 3 times US Chess champions, they're both looking for it to be a fourth time, and for Fabi, as we know, it's already 3 in a row, so he is looking to make it a 4 in a row. Only more than that is Hikaru. He's a 5-time US champion, and only more than that is Robert James Fisher. So yeah, let's check it out. Incredibly difficult game to calculate, and it all comes down to one, I would say, an unexplainable decision. So okay, we have knight to f3. Fabi opts for the reti. Reti, we have pawn to d5, c4, e6, and pawn to g3, transposing into the Agincourt defense of the English. And after knight f6 and bishop to g2, we have some sort of a Neo-Catalan, where you can go anything, like bishop e7 is good, the captures c5, c6, c5, and pawn to d4, the move that Wesley plays. We have castles and knight to c6, c5 also being very nice. D3, we have bishop to c5, knight b to d2, and castles kingside. We have knight to b3, bishop back to e7, and pawn to h3. We have pawn to a5 and pawn to e3. Up to this point, all has been played, and there is one game where rook to a6 was played. It's not a very good move, and black lost the game, but here we have pawn to e5 by Wesley, and it is now, as of move 10, that we have a completely new game. E captures on d4. E captures, we have pawn to a4 and the bishop to b4, stopping rook from coming to e1 for the moment. We have bishop to d2 and now bishop to f5, attacking the d3 pawn. Queen to c2, defending the pawn on d3. And if you can check the situation on Fabi's clock, he's not burning any time. And putting your queen on c2, and I mean, just look at this. It doesn't really look like all that much. Obviously, you have to have something prepared. And against a player like Wesley, it's best you can hope for, just to have something to play for. Rook e8 from Wesley. We have rook 8 to e1, now that the e1 square can be used. Queen to d6 and pawn to g4. Attacking the bishop, we have bishop back to d7 and pawn to c5. So this is how Fabi plans to free his queen, and then later on, maybe the queen comes to c4, maybe the knight comes to g5. That is the idea. We have queen to f8. Rook captures on e8, rook captures on e8, and now bishop to f4. Going after c7, rook to c8, and now rook to c1. Once the position opens up, you do want, well, maybe to have c7 as a target, but also just having another defender of c5 is nice. We have pawn to h5. Wesley goes after Fabi's king. g5, we have knight to d5, and now bishop back to g3, followed by pawn to b6. He wants to open up the position, and the question is, what do you play here? You could definitely make a lot of moves, like just moving the queen from the c file is not a bad idea. But Fabi plays pawn to g6, and this is now sort of a problem for Wesley, because should you capture queen c4, and that is a big problem for you. And even if you defend, like knight defense, you can go knight g5, you add another attacker, and even if c6, you just create a passed pawn. And now b7, b8 is already covered by the bishop, so that's game over. So after g6, we have knight d to e7, and now g captures on f7, queen captures knight g5. You have to leave this diagonal now, queen to g6 and pawn to h4, not even rushing it with queen to c4 check. And here you should play something like king to h8, or maybe even you can survive with bishop to f5, but it's best not to move this bishop from d7. For example, if bishop to e6, stopping any queen c4 checks, it seems like it's a good idea, but here white wins by force. Look at this. Bishop captures, knight captures, now you can capture on e6, captures, and now you cannot recapture, as the knight here is hanging, and once the knight moves, pretty much anything, just queen c4, and black is without a move. Captures, again, you cannot capture. It's a game over. So after h4, we have king to h8, c captures on b6. This is maybe not the most precise way. Queen c4 and then you get the rook into the game, rook c2, rook d2, bishop to e4. So prepare before you capture. But okay, c captures and b6. C captures, we have queen to c4. And now Wesley played queen to f6. And the reason this is a bad move is that now you actually have the resource of queen to e8. Look at this, queen to e8. And now it's perfectly fine. Knight f7 check, king to h7. And there's no problem. Bishop to e4 with check. The knight can just come to f5. And now if you did not capture and open up the c file, or rather if Fabi did not capture, if the pawn was still on c7, you could just give a check and then take a free piece. This way you cannot, as it's defended by the rook as well. So that was a good plan for Fabi, but prior to capturing on b6. Now with capturing, Wesley has the resource of queen to e8, but he doesn't see it. He plays queen to f6. Now Fabi is again winning, queen b5, just unpinning from the c file, putting pressure on b6, and then going for the 7th rank. We have queen to f5, offering a queen trade. With knight to f5, if you're wondering about that, it seems like a very strong move as well. You can go just queen captures on b6. It's not a problem. Or if you go knight to e5, also maybe possible, try a discovery. Then you have just a rook captures, knight captures, and again queen captures on e5. So that doesn't work either. So after queen b5, we have queen to f5, offering a queen trade, queen a6, rook to f8, now putting pressure on f2, even though you really can't do anything about it with the bishop on g3, but maybe if the queen moves from a6, maybe you can capture on d3, then go after the knight. So many possibilities here. We have queen b7, attacking the bishop, bishop to e8, and now, finally, bishop captures on c6. Bishop captures, attacks the queen, rook captures. And now the question is, should Wesley recapture? Well, if you recapture, then okay, it's rook for 2 pieces, but still, no way to attack. If bishop to e1, you can just put a knight on e4. It's on a light square, so you can never challenge it with a bishop. The f2 square is covered for the rest of the game, and it's only a matter of how you want to win this with white. Probably just gobble up the pawns, push the a pawn, and the easy win without black having anything to do here. So after rook captures on c6, Wesley tries queen captures on d3, goes after the knight on b3, with the rook still hanging. Okay, rook e6. Fabi says, I could capture on b6, but I don't want to push it. I'm already probably winning. So, let's just play precise moves. Now he's threatening to capture on e7, knight f5, and bishop to e5, threatening a very, very nasty surprise for Wesley. Wesley has nothing better than to capture on b3, queen captures, and now rook h6 check. Where, of course, if the knight captures, then the g7 pawn is no longer defended, and you're just going to checkmate the black king. So king g8, rook to h7, now just threatening to capture on g7. Rook f7, only move for Wesley, knight captures. We have king captures on h7, knight back to g5 check, king to h6, and queen captures on b6 with check. We have pawn to g6 from Wesley, and now the position is winning. It's actually a forced checkmate in 9. And I say 9 because that's with best possible defense, including all of the useless moves. It's actually a mate in 4, which I'm pretty sure everyone sees now. So if you haven't seen the video, Fabi had 6 minutes on the clock going into this position, and this is move 40. So that's pretty incredible. He thought that he was still on the clock, because you don't get increment instantly. Only when you over move 40 and your clock drops to 0, then you gain additional time for some reason. I have no idea why they do that. But yeah, what do you play here? How do you win this for Fabi? That is the question. Believe it or not, simply putting a queen on the back rank, and that's it. You play queen d8 or queen b8, there's no defense against queen to h8 checkmate. And you can play some moves like knight captures on h4. Now if queen h8, then you can capture on g5, but just bishop f6, and that's it. If knight f3 check, sure, you can survive for a few moves longer, and then after queen captures, now it's checkmate. Or you can make even more useless moves, and then it's going to be a mate in 9. But that's why I said it's like a mate in 4. And Fabi finds the mate. He just doesn't find the proper way to reach the mate. He plays queen f6, which seems like it's the exact same thing, but it's not. Now Wesley just plays queen to g8, and there is no mate. unbelievable. And Fabi was like, what is this? And he can still win this, but now it's gonna take a whole lot more because okay, the big problem is probably Fabi saw queen to g8 and he thought that bishop to f4 was just as winning, but black can just play d3 or whatever. There's nothing here. There's no good discovery that you can make. If knight f3 check, you just go king h7. If knight g5 check, king h6. If knight f7 check, you just go king h7. And no good discoveries. Knight g5, and you're gonna end up with a repetition, because if d2 lands, then you're gonna even lose the game. So after king to g8, knight f7 check was played, king h7, knight g5 check, king h6, and now Fabi couldn't find a way out. He played bishop captures on d4, and now the position is objectively a draw. He had a minute on the clock here, but the real trick, well, minute plus additional time you get once you drop to 0. But the tricky move is knight to e6, and I'm going to show you what you have to find. The d3, bishop f4 check, king h7, and now knight g5 check, king to h6, and now queen to e5. Very, very important move. Now, you're stopping bishop e7, which is sort of black's main defensive resource in many of the lines, because then you just capture on a5, and then you have two connected pass pawns on the queen side, which will be your way to victory. So now black has to make a move, and the top move recommended by the engine is bishop to e7, to just give up that a5 pawn. But you sort of know that if you do that, you're going to lose. So let's try the second best option, queen to c8. So this is with the idea that now if knight to e4 check, king to h7, knight to f6 check, king to h8, you have knight captures on h5 with check, and you can't really do anything. But also, even if you could capture, you would have at least the knight here defended, but also, you know, it's not easy to find all of this, especially with Fabi's little time on the clock. But if king to g8, for example, queen to d5 check, king to f8, and now knight to f6, threatening queen g8 check, followed by queen captures queen. And now if king to g7, you will go knight to g4. And okay, you have a winning position. You have a firm grip on the d2 square, so you're not going to allow pawn to d2. And eventually you're going to win the game. But Fabi doesn't find it. He plays bishop captures on d4, and now Wesley needs a series of incredibly precise moves to survive, but he finds it. Knight captures, and queen to g7. Only move that saves him. Queen to e4, queen captures on b2. The material is even, and well, Fabi's king isn't all that much safer than Wesley's king. And now after knight f7 check, king h7, knight to e5, it seems like Fabi's once again winning, but there is a check. Queen to c1 check, king g2, and queen h6. And that's it. Everything is defended, and there is no more way for anyone to win this game. Of course, it's always hard to come to terms with reality. A couple of more knight moves were played, some horsing around, and after some 10 moves, it was in this position on move 62 that 3 times U.S. chess champion Fabiano Caruana and 3 times U.S. chess champion Wesley So agreed to a draw, as there is nothing more to be done here. So yeah, their lead, or rather co-lead, continues going into round 7. We'll see what happens in that one. Their opponents for next rounds are, Wesley faces Andy Woodward. That's going to be an incredible game with Andy playing so well. And Fabiano is playing none other than Hans Niemann, another great matchup for Fabi. So yeah, really hope you guys enjoyed it. Not a bad way to start a Sunday, but yeah, I mean, I definitely feel for Fabi, because this is he did everything so well, and then in this position, just he sees the mate, he just doesn't realize that it's all the same. It's not all the same how you actually get to that h8 square. By queen b8 and queen d8, you're not allowing queen g8. By playing queen f6, you allow this. And yes, you're still winning, but Wesley, I mean, he's a very resourceful player, and he, you allow him a little bit, he finds it, and he definitely found it. So yeah, big congratulations to Wesley as well on this, incredible achievement, drawing this position against Fabi. So that's the game. Hope you guys enjoy. We're probably going to check out one more game from this round, and then we're going to check out the standings. But as you guys know, it's a tie at the top. I would like to thank P.A. Bauer, Gerard St. Pierre, The Word Weird, Brazos Valley, Chess Society, and Francesco Corradi for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.